The House will come to order. Today, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Cecilia, Julia, and Ford Frazier, Adeline Kubik, Armaday Academy, Highlands Ranch, Colorado, guests of Representative Bradley.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Schiebel, please call the roll. You did very well. Thank you. Who is Cecilia? Thank you, Cecilia.
Representatives Armagost, Bacon, Barone, Byrd, Basenecker,
Thank you so much.
Bottoms, Bradfield, Bradley, Brooks, Brown, Representative Brown,
Excused.
Caldwell, Camacho, Carter, Clifford, DeGraff, Duran, English, Representative English,
Excused.
Espinoza, Foray, Froelich, Garcia, Garcia Sander, Gilchrist, Gonzalez, Hamrick, Hartsook is excused, Jackson, Johnson, Joseph, Kelty, Leader, Lindsay, Lindstead, Luck, Lukens, Mabry, Marshall, Martinez, Morrow, Representative Morrow,
Excused.
McCormick, Pascal, Phillips, Puglisi, Richardson, Ricks, Representative Ricks,
Excused.
Rootnell, Ryden, Sirota, Smith, Soper, Representative Soper,
Excused.
Stewart K, Stewart R, Representative Stewart R,
Excused.
Story, Sukla, Taggart, Tatone, Valdez A, Velasco, Weinberg, Wilford, Representative Wilford,
Excused.
Winter, Representative Woodrow is excused, Woog, Zokai, and Madam Speaker.
Here. With 57 present, 8 excused, we do have a quorum. Representative Gilchrist.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I move that the Journal of Tuesday, March 11, 2025 be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
Members, you've heard the motion that the journal be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Members, we are moving into business. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the following bills be made special orders on March 12th, 2025 at 9:14 a.m. House Bill 1280, Senate Bill 170, House Bill 1005, Senate Bill 4, Senate Bill 133, Senate Bill 16, Senate Bill 24, and Senate Bill 42.
Seeing no objection, the bills listed by the Majority Leader will be made special orders today, March 12th at 9:14 a.m. Representative Mabry. Members, you've heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Mabry will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request to have a bill read at length. Committee reports are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader, and the coat rule is relaxed. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1280.
House Bill 1280 by Representatives Story and Smith concerning advanced leak detection for pipelines and in connection therewith, directing the Public Utilities Commission to adopt rules regarding the implementation of advanced leak detection technologies by a certain date.
Representative Story.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We move House Bill 1280.
To the bill.
Okay.
Representative Story.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This morning we're here to talk about 1280. It's focused on advanced leak detection technology, which is a process that's utilized for identifying leaks in pipelines. So basically, it's a pipeline safety bill. This policy was passed in 21 through Senate Bill 21-108. And it required rulemaking. And this bill is focused on setting the date, the deadline for the rulemaking that hasn't happened over the last 4 years. It is an important piece of legislation because advanced leak detection provides an opportunity to more effectively, more efficiently, and with less cost identify leaks in pipelines by using technology that is actually a variety of different ways of using technology to make this more efficient instead of walking all the pipeline lines and meters that exist across our state and the country. The federal government, through PHMSA, the Pipeline Hazardous and Materials Safety Administration, has been working on regulations for advanced leak detection for a number of years, and they kept extending the timeline to try and get it finished, but they have not yet accomplished it, and so that has been a hang-up for industry in the state. They wanted to wait for PHMSA to pass their regs, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon now. And so the state is moving forward with doing the rulemaking so that we can better ensure that the public is safer because pipeline leaks are found and then repaired. And would you like to? And yeah.
Representative Smith.
Thank you, Chair. I was really happy that Representative Story asked me to join on in this. I was following the bill that she spoke about in 21, and I was very surprised that we still did not have rules set. As she said, 4 years later. In my scientific career, I actually measured methane emissions, and so I have followed the technology, and it really has come a long ways. And there's some brand new technology that's being developed using quantum physics out of CU, and CSU is doing testing. It's comb laser, which can measure very small leaks, very long distances. So I am very happy to be on this bill.
Representative Story.
We would like to move L001 to House Bill 1280 and have it on the board.
Okay, that is a proper motion. L1 is properly displayed to the amendment. Representative Story.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This amendment is pretty simple and clean. It adds two words, the words "and repair," to two little sections in the bill. So basically, it is indicating that it is focused on advanced leak detection and repair in regards to the efforts of this policy. And repair is contemplated in the policy anyway. It's normal practice that if a leak is found, it is repaired, but we're making it abundantly clear that this is so.
Is there any further discussion on L1? Representative DeGraff. Representative DeGraff, the amendment is about adding the words safety and repair. So, okay. Any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of L1 to House Bill 1280. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Okay, L1 is adopted. To the bill, is there any further discussion on House Bill 1280? Representative DeGraff.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the redirect as well. All right, we heard this in committee. I'm not opposed to the bill. I'm not opposed to using advanced leak detection. I don't know that the utilities are even opposed to using advanced leak detection. But when I asked the utilities, my contacts there, like, why are they not adopting this voluntarily? Why are we not going this? Something's better, stronger, faster than ever before. Usually, it's something that's going to be taken on. And
Hold on, Representative DeGraff. Members, it is too loud to hear the conversation we are having about House Bill 1280 in the well. Please keep it down and take your conversations to the sides. Representative DeGraff, to the bill.
It is getting loud in here. Okay. So anyways, when I asked, the questions were, I just read this bill. What does it even mean? Arbitrary standards. What technology? Who is paying for it? And I think that was handled in SB 21-108. Just kind of being obscure. So I think the utilities are not averse to it. They're not averse to it, but I think they're probably waiting on PHMSA before they apply to it. And certainly we want to detect any leaks, but we also have to weigh those leaks against the cost and the energy to ameliorate them. We have to do that. So I think the bill is well intentioned. We heard but I just think it's a little premature. Why if PHMSA does not have the capability and to do this, and they can't get their reg making, and that's what the PUC is going to do. What is the PUC going to do? That's where are the hang-ups? I think we need to probably look at where these hang-ups are first. So I'll be a no on the vote. I don't think the utilities are opposed to it. They seem to be all monitoring or amend, or maybe a couple opposed, but I just think it's premature, and it's inserting the state someplace where it's inserting this body someplace there it doesn't need to be.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1280? Representative Baran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm also here standing up as an oil and gas guy for 23 years that I am not against pipeline safety. As a matter of fact, Occidental and Chevron are currently doing their advanced leak detection. I've been on location while they do that. It is awesome. It is a thermal camera that they actually point to the ground where the pipeline is, or to the wellhead above ground. You can see everything that comes out of that pipeline. It's all thermal. That camera looks awesome. So they're currently doing it. Everybody thinks this is an important issue, as well as myself. So I have no problem with making sure the pipelines, especially the pipelines in residential areas, are safe and don't have any leak detection. One of the arguments that was presented in committee was the incident that happened in Firestone, where the flow line, it wasn't a pipeline, it was a flow line that come from a wellhead, was leaking into a house, which unfortunately caused an explosion, which took a couple lives. That was an unfortunate incident. But that has nothing to do with pipeline safety. That was a flow line. And since then, that issue has been addressed. My company was one of the companies contracted to address that issue. So from that time forward, all wellheads that have been plugged and abandoned will no longer have flow lines left in the ground. We are contracted to take those flow lines out of the ground after that well's been plugged and abandoned, or if those flow lines are difficult to remove, we have to concrete that line completely. So if any excavation happens...
Representative Baran. Members, it is still too loud in here. We're trying to have a conversation on House Bill 1280. We cannot hear what people are saying in the well. Please keep it down. Thank you. Representative Barron, to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So going back to that flow line, so we have to concrete those flow lines in completely. So if there's any incident in the future where somebody is excavating in that area, hits that line, they know that line is dead because it is full of concrete. That will prevent any gases from forming in that line that will cause an explosion. So that issue has been addressed, but has nothing to do with this bill whatsoever. And that's something that I was disagreeing with in committee when that was brought up. I just don't see the need to mandate this issue when these big companies are already performing this advanced leak detection. And that's my piece. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1280? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of House Bill 1280. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. House Bill 1280 passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to Senate Bill 170.
Senate Bill 170 by Senators Amabile and Kirkmeyer, also Representatives Byrd and Sirota, concerning a state-funded response to genetic testing backlogs.
Representative Byrd.
I move Senate Bill 25-170.
To the bill. Representative Byrd.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, this bill follows up on our work to roll forward funding to the CBI to expedite its processing of its backlog of rape kits. We had a robust discussion where I think this chamber did very good work to add a footnote that required the department to expedite processing of these kits, and also it required some additional transparency measures so that this legislature could always be informed of CBI's progress on getting these kits processed. Unfortunately, the weight of a footnote is just, it's a suggestion. It shows legislative intent. What we are doing here is codifying that footnote into law so that now the department will be bound by law to do what this chamber overwhelmingly supported in a footnote. We ask for your yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none. Representative Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank the sponsors for bringing forward this bill. This is something that I really heard in my district, a lot of grave concerns with the backlog that we're facing. I know there's also a representative that was speaking to this particular issue. And so I really like this bill. Thank you guys so much for actually getting the funds we need to actually fix this issue. And this is a very important matter, so I encourage a yes vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 170? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of Senate Bill 170. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. Senate Bill 170 passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title to House Bill 1005.
House Bill 1005 by Representatives McCluskey and Titone, also Senators Amabile and Baisley, concerning the creation of a tax incentives to support the film festival industry.
Majority Leader Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move House Bill 1005 and the Finance Committee report.
To the committee report.
I'd like to move L014 and ask that it be properly displayed.
That is properly displayed. To the amendment. ML Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a technical amendment from OEdit to ensure that the Film Office can support the work and efforts that the bill requires. It additionally adds clarity to what is defined as an existing or small Colorado film festival, and I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on L14? Seeing none, the question before us is the Representative Marshall. Representative Marshall.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you.
Members, how much is Boulder putting up? That's a question I asked in the first committee meeting I was in on this bill, and I had 2 committee meetings on it. So for the past 6 weeks, I've asked that question. How much is Boulder putting up? They're asking the state to put up $34 million that comes out of people's taxpayer Bill of Rights refund. And the state already The state already put up 1.5 million. They say Boulder put up 1.5 million. It was a no-edit grant of $1.5 million from the state, and now they want $34 million more. So again, the simple question, how much is Boulder putting up? No one would give me a response. They said they'd get back to me. 4 or 5 individuals who should know.
Representative Marshall, I recognize that we want to have a robust discussion on the bill, but right now we're considering L14. So are your comments to the amendment?
This should be L16.
Oh, we're talking about L14. We haven't passed L14 yet.
I'm so sorry.
So stay tuned. We will. Okay. Is there any further discussion on L14? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of L14. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. L14 is adopted. To the committee report, Emel Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move L017 and ask that it be properly displayed.
Okay, that is a proper motion. L017 is properly displayed. Emel Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a technical amendment from DOR to ensure that the credit is claimed during tax years instead of calendar years. This also has technical language from DOR to ensure that this section applies to both a global film festival entity and existing Colorado Film Festival entities, and ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L17? Seeing none, the motion before us is the adoption of Amendment L17. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Amendment L17 is adopted. To the committee report. Rep. Tatone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in the Finance Committee, we made a whole bunch of further technical amendments, mostly driven by Department of Revenue, to be sure that the program was put into place in the proper way, and I ask for a yes vote on the finance report as amended.
Representative, is there any further discussion on the committee report? Representative Marshall.
Deja vu all over again. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, how much is Boulder putting up? The question was asked multiple times to multiple people who should know, said they'd get back, never heard anything back. Finally submitted a CORA request, a Colorado Opens Records Act request to the city of Boulder asking that same question. Any documentation of how much Boulder is authorizing or appropriating to incentivize the Sundance Film Festival to come to Boulder. They didn't respond in the appropriate amount of time. Was stiff-armed, went back, I need a response. The response was, we don't know what we can give you. From a city attorney, not just some GS5 or whatever responding to CORA requests. I finally had to go back, and again, this is like 12 days when a CORA request would be responded in 3, demanding a response, a final demand, and the response finally came back. And the response was, Boulder has not appropriated or authorized any money for the Sundance Film Festival. But there may be some secret extra money in some kind of deals in the future. But they can't tell me because of proprietary information. This is public money. I went back with the Colorado Supreme Court case and said, are you telling me you won't tell me any commitments of public taxpayer money? No response. No response whatsoever. So I'd like to move Amendment L16 to House Bill 1005 and ask for it to be displayed.
Representative Marshall, I just want to clarify, I believe this is an amendment to the committee report.
Yeah, amended to the committee report.
Okay. That has been properly moved and displayed to the amendment. Representative Marshall.
This amendment, instead of saying $34 million of our Tabor taxpayer refunds go to Boulder for the Sundance Film Festival, says we will pay up to $17 million, matching any county or city, because of course we can't say Boulder and Sundance because it could be any festival we're talking about or any county, but any counties or cities, we will match what they put up, dollar for dollar, up to a maximum of $17 million. Now, the other concern is this $34 million, there's only two other places that are in competition, Cincinnati and Salt Lake City. The state of Ohio has made it absolutely clear they are not putting up any money. Utah has now followed with $3 million only in response to the $34 million we put up. This is crony capitalism at its worst. We are cutting the budgets now for Medicaid, for schools, but we're going to give $34 million that comes out of our Tabor refunds. And I've had to sit here for 2 years and watch my district constantly being overlooked on those issues, with tax credits that go to people far below the median income in my district so they wouldn't be able to participate, and special incentives for wealthy corporations, turning us almost into a Latin American country with special privileges going to the rich and giving small subsidies as crumbs to the poor. It's wrong. This is not the Manhattan Project. People should know what public money is out there, and if it's not, we should match it, not just pay for the whole thing. There is no doubt that there are benefits to Colorado, but no one can possibly deny the vast majority of the benefits will inure to Boulder and the area around there. So Boulder and the area around there should be responsible for the majority of the money that is being put up. So I ask for a yes.
Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I appreciate my colleague from Douglas County and his passion on this topic. But look, most of the time when the state has a project that we need to have a bid on, we get bids from different companies, and those different companies have bids that are held in confidence because they need to be competitive against the other people competing with that project. Well, the state is one, and the city of Boulder is one of those competitors in a competitive process. And if we divulge the information that we are giving away through Boulder, I mean, obviously the tax credits we have are quite out there, but what Boulder's offering is part of a confidential package of things that they're willing to offer to counter whatever those other two cities are offering. If we end up saying how much Boulder is going to be offering, we're taking our competitiveness out of this process. And I don't want to do that. And from what I understand, what Boulder has been telling me is that they have a lot of things on the table, but they cannot divulge what those things are. But it is competitive from what they're telling me. So I don't want to jeopardize putting more burden on Boulder because they're already putting a lot of things on the table from what they're telling me that this is going to change the whole thing. And it's $34 million over 10 years. It's not $34 million up front. This is over a 10-year period. This is not a lot of money going out the door at one time, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to get this actual return on investment film festival that could come here to Colorado. We cannot let the ship sail by screwing up what Boulder has been working on with regional partners for a long period of time to be in a competitive spot. And this is going to screw everything up that they've built up and had all these negotiations and done all their due diligence to find out what they can offer. This is going to ruin all of that work. They've done all of the studies. They know how much they can put up that's going to benefit the city, that's going to benefit the region and the state, and Boulder is shouldering a lot of that burden. So I urge a no vote on this amendment. This has been looked at and planned, and all the different pieces are put together for a long period of time. This is going to put a monkey wrench in the whole thing. I urge a no vote on this amendment.
Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I urge a yes vote on this amendment, and with absolute respect for what's being brought forward, we do need economic development. We need vibrant economy in this state. But it seems strange to me that we're going to show our cards. We're going to lock our cards in public legislation, but Boulder's asked and being permitted to hide theirs. I subbed in on this committee. Again, I think it's something that should be pursued. I think but this is a good amendment. I mean, to say that the state needs to lock in what they're going to provide in legislation and let one county and city hide their cards doesn't seem right to me. So I urge a yes vote.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also support a yes vote on this amendment. I just think it's fiscal responsibility on our part. We are committing the money of the state of the citizens of Colorado. We're committing their tax dollars. We're committing dollars that should have been returned to them through these credits, and then we're taking it and we're applying that benefit primarily to Boulder. People in my district were expecting that money back. They're not expecting us to send it off to benefit other counties. So I think we at least need to be fair with them and be upfront. The things that this building can really affect would be the taxation rate, the underlying economy. Not looking for ways to spend the money of the citizens to invest in a project that benefits, it favors one community over another. So I like the amendment. The negotiation process, I get that, but it's going to be an iterative process. So I don't know how that will be kept secret forever. I think the competitive places are those that are going to be that have the more favorable business community, and if we want to have a more favorable business community, that's a different conversation. Taking money from the taxpayers and putting it into putting it on the roulette wheel and telling them that red is going to be the best color. I think that's not the way to go. We need to be responsible with their money, and we need to have all the details, and we need to have all the cards on the table.
Representative Bottoms.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I understand the concept behind the stakeholding that's gone into this. I totally understand that. But maybe I'm just looking at this a little differently. But to me, if I'm the festival, if I'm Sundance, or whoever we may be speaking of here, if I am that group, when I see this proposal laid out, and half of that money is coming from the area where the festival is, to me that speaks loudly in favor of it. To me, it doesn't undermine or erode the concept of this taking place. That shows buy-in from the outside entities. It shows buy-in. If I'm this group and I look and I see Ohio is saying this is all coming from the state, or is it coming from the state and the location it's going to be in? To me, if those two match up, I'm going to lean more toward that, because there's going to be the local buy-in, not just the state buy-in. I understand we have the state buy-in, and that this could really be great for the state of Colorado. I'm not denying any of that. But I think this is going to be necessary to actually win the final step, if possible, is to show that this came from the people of that area. I would love for something like this to come into Colorado Springs. I would love that. But I actually think Boulder could be, well, I hate to admit it, but it probably is a better location. But I think we need buy-in from Boulder. I think we need buy-in from the whole area around there for this to be a legitimate proposal that we can lay out there and say, State of Colorado, we're all in. The place where it's actually potentially going to happen, all in. And that speaks loudly. I think if we leave this amendment out, I think we're going to be doing a detriment to the overall proposal and the competition that's going on with this. So I think for the sake of this bill, for the sake of this long-term for our state, I think this amendment would be, it kind of makes sense. It's a good common sense thing that says this is the direction that we're going. So I urge an aye vote for this amendment.
Majority Leader Duran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to give some clarity to what this amendment will actually do and why we're asking for a no vote. This amendment will actually cost the state more money, because the resource being put up at the local level between our local government partners and private donations will exceed the amount of resources put up by the state through this bill. That's the reality here. This amendment will actually drive a larger cost for the state. We've emphasized this over and over again, that this tax credit is not the only part of the state's overall incentive package. Our partners on the local level are putting up resources also, but they are sensitive to Colorado's competitive position against Utah and Ohio. They are making sure that those states don't outbid Colorado collaborative bidding, undermining the interests of this state, and I ask for a no vote.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is really probably more in the lines of a question for a sponsor, the sponsor of the amendment, who is trying to cut me off here at the podium. But I don't see anything in this that would require the amounts of the values being divulged, just that it was matched. Does this amendment require that the negotiations be made public, or does it just require validation on the inside that these dollars are matched so that there is a skin in the game? If I'm clear on that.
Representative Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, no, it doesn't require any divulgence of what they're doing, and it even, it's a 10-year tax credit. So even if they do for like 3 years nothing, and in the fourth year they put up money, then we would match it in those years. It's just a complete matching program looking back, so they can do all the negotiations they want. And the point, too, that they're putting up more money than the state down there, that was a fact, that just got disclosed by the majority leader, and I appreciate it. They told me that last night, but I felt bound by whatever NDA they wanted me to sign to not divulge that, but since it has been divulged here, that brings up more questions. Again, letting me know through an NDA what's going on, but not my constituents when it's public money, that's really kind of a non-starter. And I have offered to change it to $34 million that we would match. That would take care of all the issues. If they're saying they're putting up more than us in monetary value, we could do $34 million then and a match. I don't like that, but that would be a reasonable thing to do, but even that has been rejected. So I'm standing by the original amendment to say we will match if they need $34 million. And again, saying it's secret for the states, Ohio is not secret, and they say they're putting up nothing. Utah, the state of Utah, is not secret. They're only putting up $3 million, and that was in response to our putting up $34 million. So why is Colorado, and so the response back is, yeah, but we don't know how much Cincinnati and Salt Lake City are putting up. They're putting up tens and tens of millions. It's like, all right, well then Boulder should compete with those cities rather than the state competing against itself. So I ask for a yes vote.
Representative Joseph.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank Representative Marshall for engaging in this conversation. Thank you for your thoughtfulness as part of this conversation. As the representative from Boulder, I would ask all of you to please vote no on this particular amendment. You know me as a representative who strive to fight for working people. And although I know this amendment's coming from a good place, but as drafted, it goes against the intent and purpose of the bill. And not only that, as you know, when it comes to economic vitality, when we talk about economic vitality in Colorado, we're talking about the entire state, not just the city of Boulder. Yes, I understand this particular film festival is intended to take place in Boulder, but imagine the artists who are coming from the different districts and communities around the state. So no, this is not just about Boulder. We don't have all the artists living in Boulder to get all the benefits, so it's going to take all of us. So please, I ask for a no on this particular amendment because, again, it goes against the intent and purpose of the bill, and this is really a good bill that's going to help the entire state of Colorado, is going to support our artists. It's such an important bill for our artists. Again, art is important. It's an important part of our economy. It's an important part of who we are as human beings. So I please ask for a no vote on this particular amendment. Thank you.
Representative Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm the other representative in Boulder, and I can say that this International Film Festival is really going to put Colorado on the worldwide map. It's so good for the state. Yes, it's happening in Boulder. Boulder is very excited. As a region, I've been hearing a lot about what the university will get out of this. Students that are in film will be able to rub shoulders with famous directors and so forth. We're right in the midst of building the new conference center where a lot of people can stay and where films can be shown. There's a lot of partnerships going on within Boulder and outside of Boulder. Boulder is not big enough to house everyone in hotels. So there's going to be spillover for hotels, for food, car rentals, people coming and saying, okay, it's great skiing here, we're going to go up to Vail, Aspen, and so forth. So I urge a no vote on this amendment.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Chair, I don't see how this is going to negatively impact the intent. I mean, this is just saying that matching. It's not taking away from the secrecy of this bid. And it's interesting that the other communities don't have to because apparently they have not created such a hostile business environment. And a lot of that hostile business environment, well, we won't say where that hostile business environment comes from too often, but this is very specifically benefiting one community. This bill is very specifically asking the citizens of all of Colorado to invest their money into a program where that money that they invest will have dividends returned to the state and the community and the community of Boulder. So, I mean, the money should, if it's coming out of the tax refunds, that money should go back into it with with interest. But that's something to talk about with the bill. But this doesn't cut Boulder out. It's just saying Boulder needs to put in. We just need to verify that Boulder's putting in its fair share. So the saying that Boulder's going to put in more, but Boulder doesn't want anybody to verify that it's putting in as much, that just rings a little bit hollow to me. So I think for fiscal responsibility, I still don't really like the bill. I think we need to make our state business friendly like Wyoming is doing, but they have a red legislature. So instead of trying to prop up one community on the backs of the rest of our communities.
Is there Representative Marshall?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I feel a little bit like Jan from the Brady Bunch up here. Marcia, Marcia, Marcia. Boulder, Boulder, Boulder. Let me read the response to the Cora request from Boulder. After I told them, after 14 days of fighting over what should be responded to in 3 days, the response after I put a final demand. At this time, City Council has not approved or budgeted for any funds to incentivize the Sundance Film Festival to come to Boulder. To the extent your request seeks records showing potential, not yet approved city financial incentives for Sundance to come to Boulder, the city is denying your request pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 2472-204 and the city's access to public records policy section. They have not authorized any money at this time. All this is saying is when you authorize money, we will match it. We will match it. And I think that's doing the fiscally responsible thing because there are no doubt that there are some benefits to the state from this. But no one can deny, as I keep pressing, the vast majority of the benefits will be to Boulder and the region surrounding that. So Boulder and the region surrounding that should have the most skin in the game. So I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Clifford.
This conversation has been fascinating to me. Anybody that knows anything about business knows that you compete for things, and this is a competition. And I appreciate, to my good friend Bob Marshall, whatever you've gotten in this process. But if we are competing for something this major, we absolutely need to make sure that they have the tools to compete. And this is major money coming for our area, and I appreciate that it's primarily for Boulder. But I do honestly believe that they need the ability to move around within the confines of trying to compete to get the Sundance Film Festival here. And I hope that everybody will vote no on this amendment.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of L16. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The noes have it. L16 is lost. To the committee report. Representative Tatone.
Oh, that's committee. Oh, sorry. It's the committee report. Okay. Well, do you want to do the committee report? To the committee. Okay. To the bill or committee report? Okay. So we just vote on the committee report, please.
Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move L013 to House Bill 25-1005 and ask that it be displayed.
You need Representative Richardson. You need to move it to the committee report.
Oh, I'm sorry. I stand corrected. I move L013 to the committee report of House Bill 1005.
And ask that it be properly displayed. Okay, one moment.
All righty. Thank you.
Representative Richardson.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the correction. This is a relatively simple amendment, but since a refundable tax credit could actually reduce the film festival's tax liability to zero and then still result in a refund to this business, a transfer from the pockets of hardworking Coloradans to an outside entity, I think this needs to be changed. So while I understand we're working to incentivize Colorado as the new home for Sundance, and I do hope it becomes that, we should not do this on the backs of the citizens we're elected to serve. So this amendment changes the tax credit provided by this bill from refundable to non-refundable. I believe this is a good change and it's fair to our citizens. I would ask for a yes vote.
Majority Leader Duran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I ask for a no vote on L013. This would make the credit no longer refundable. If Sundance doesn't have a tax liability, then they wouldn't be able to use the tax credit. Republicans sponsored and ran the quantum tax credit last year, which was refundable for the same reason, so I ask for a no vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of L13. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The noes have it. L13 is lost. To the committee report. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Finance Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report passes. To the bill. Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L015 and ask for it to be properly displayed.
One moment. It is properly displayed. Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this amendment will handle the smaller film festivals and make sure that there's a criteria for existing festivals to get the incentive that will be built into this bill if the larger film festival does come to Colorado. And it will give OEDIT some flexibility on how to have a more competitive process for the limited funds that are available. And I ask for a yes vote on Amendment L015.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of L15. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. L15 passes. To the bill. Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And we've already had quite a robust discussion. But to the bill now, we're talking about a global international film festival, and we all know which one it is. And this is a coveted film festival that everybody who is a film enthusiast wants to go see at some point, to see the excitement, to see the folks coming, the new films, what awards are going to be given. These are really exciting events. This is an 11-day event that happens currently in Utah, and we are in a competitive process to have them consider Boulder to be the home of this film festival. Colorado has a number of competitive advantages in the effort to recruit Sundance. I mean, we have world-renowned Rocky Mountain landscapes, well-established creative communities, strong hotel bed base, robust domestic and international connectivity through the airport at Denver, and pending new state investments in the Colorado Film Incentive Tax Credit. And despite many competitive advantages, Colorado still needs to leverage a unique long-term incentive targeting a large film festival that promises to deliver unique and extraordinary regional economic impact. A legislative strategy to create and effectively deploy this initiative will help ensure that Colorado outperforms other states vying to become the new home for this festival. So we are going to have the incentive for the Sundance Festival, as well as a $500,000 annual benefit for smaller existing film festivals. And that, if the credit goes into effect, if they come here, this will attract the 100,000 in-person ticket sales and tens of thousands of out-of-state visitors that come here to Colorado in January. This bill will create the new Colorado Film Festival tax credit and leverage those tax credits. And this major film festival of Sundance requires at least a 10-year contract when choosing a new location, and that's why we have this broken up into a 10-year period. But just a little bit about the economic impact of the festival from the 2023 economic report from Utah. At that time in 2023, almost 87,000 festival attendees, 21,400 out-of-state festival attendees, $97 million total spent by out-of-state attendees, 1,600 jobs for Utah residents, $63 million in wages for Utah residents, and $118 million contributed to the Utah GDP. That's in Utah. Now, we're Colorado. We do things bigger here, and that's what this festival is going to deliver, is bigger numbers than that. And there's real return on investment. You can see it here in the fact sheet if you want to look at this. But this is real results, this is real investment, and this is not just the state of Colorado that is investing in this film festival. The city of Boulder is putting up a whole bunch of different incentives to make sure that they are competitive, as well as regional partners. It's not just Boulder. We're going to see beds being occupied in hotels all over the area.
Representative Tatone, I'm going to interrupt you for a second. I'm so sorry. Everyone in the chamber, please keep your voices down. It's hard to hear what people are saying in the well. Thank you. Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is a real investment in Colorado, not just done by the state, which will benefit greatly, but all of the local and regional partners, as well as the ski industry as well. This is good for the state. I urge you to vote yes on this bill to get this festival here so we can enjoy the blossoming film industry that we have here in Colorado and see this through. So I urge a yes vote on this bill.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Kelty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a little bit of experience with this type of festival coming in. In Michigan, when I lived there, we had something similar. And what ended up happening is something that we thought was really, this is a good bill. I believe it's a good bill. However, I just wanted to let you know what ended up happening there was when we let them come in, we thought that we were going to make so much money for the state of Michigan. And what ended up happening was it wasn't. They actually brought in their own vendors, they brought in their own builders, they brought in their own employees from outside the state, and it actually ended up kind of biting us in the behind. So I would like to move HB 1005L010 to the bill.
The proper motion is I move L.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I apologize, Madam Chair. Yeah, I move L010 to HB 1005.
And ask that it be properly displayed.
And ask for it to be properly displayed.
Okay. It is properly displayed. Representative Kelty.
Thank you. And basically all I'm asking is if we could just make and we talked about this in committee and I brought it up and they asked me to do an amendment, so I made sure that was done. It took a little time because there were some things going on in the back. But, so all it says is I want to add in here that that Colorado businesses, Colorado builders, Colorado companies, and our Colorado people are given preference when considering having this bill, this festival, or any festivals coming to Colorado. So for us, this way it won't, what happened in Michigan won't happen in Colorado, and it'll benefit and keep the money in Colorado, and I think it's going to be a really great deal for a good bill. Thank you.
Majority Leader Duran.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to my colleague who brought this up in committee. And after further conversations and kind of looking into that, the bill already includes criteria for how Sundance can earn the credit, the expenses, and the investments they have to make in order to earn the credit. So one of those criteria is for investments made in Colorado for things like construction materials, hardware, and other depreciating assets. At the end of the day, the benefit from Sundance coming here is more than just the investment the festival itself makes in Colorado. So the benefit is the 30 to 40K out-of-state visitors coming to Colorado, filling up our restaurants and other small businesses and increase state revenues. So I ask for a no vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Kelty.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I'm asking for a yes vote because I've been through this before, and I can tell you we need to make sure we put Colorado first, we put Colorado employees. When you see thousands and thousands of employees brought in from outside the state, it's not going to make the rest of Colorado happy. And not only that, but then you're going to be worried about, as far as like the tax money, and this is actually a good amendment that is going to make sure that we put Colorado and Colorado people first, put businesses first, put builders first. It mentions a little bit, but it doesn't give the actual foundation of what this amendment proposes. So I'm really asking for a yes vote. I'm asking you to put Colorado and Colorado citizens and our vendors and builders first. Thank you.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really love this discussion because it's really kind of highlighting just how and where Colorado has made itself so uncompetitive. And instead of dealing with why Colorado has made itself uncompetitive, we're trying to make it appear competitive on the backs of our citizens. I think this is a great amendment. I don't know how you're going to get around it with all of the work groups. What the sponsor mentioned, supplies, depreciating good, like stuff from the hardware store. That's a bone thrown to all the hardware stores. Or, I guess, I don't know. I guess they can't ship in that stuff then. They have to buy their plywood here. I don't know how that would be enforced, but doesn't really matter. I think this is a good bill. If we're looking at benefiting the economy, I mean, it should be to these. We should be using the industries the workers that we have here. And again, I think we need to take this bill and we need to look at it with a level of introspection as to why we need this level of incentive to bring somebody into Colorado. And it's because this legislature has made Colorado unproductive. So I'm in favor of this amendment. I'm enjoying the conversation and highlighting all the reasons that this body has made the state uncompetitive, and the recognition that the rest of the world is coming to realize that as well. So maybe we could get to that after this.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of L10. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The noes have it. L10 is lost. To the bill, Representative Richardson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L006 to House Bill 25-1005 and ask that it be properly displayed.
Okay, it is properly displayed. Representative Richardson.
Thank you. This is a simple amendment. We've talked a lot this morning about who has skin in the game. This amendment ensures that the festival has some skin in the game, so that even if they don't bring in some money, I mean, we've heard a lot of what they'll bring to us, but if they don't, they probably shouldn't keep getting this credit. The amendment ensures that the wonderful economic benefits that we just heard about so enthusiastically described are realized each year paying the credit. We voted down an amendment earlier that would have made this a non-refundable credit, but since it's now refundable, they'll just keep getting it. If you remember, about 5 years ago, we had this little pandemic that shut down everything. The way this stands now, if the festival doesn't occur for a year and no money comes in, we're still paying that credit. So this bill would ensure that we do an annual review, make sure that the money coming in actually exceeds what we're giving in credit prior to paying that out. So I would ask for a yes vote.
Majority Leader Durian.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So L006 will limit the tax credit to whatever the net revenue generated was the years prior. So this actually will cost the state a lot more because we estimate that after a few years, new state revenue from Sundance will far exceed the tax credit amount. We estimate that the state will take in about $16 million more in revenue than the total amount of tax credits expended. This amendment will cost the state about $16 million, and that net benefit will go to Tabor refunds. But this amendment will take that away and give more credits to film festivals than we are taking for this bill. So I ask for a no vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question, Representative Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Reading this amendment, though, I'd just like to point out that it says may not exceed. So it is a floor. It's not, if it goes over that amount, it still defaults to the $2 million or the $4 million that's in that year. So again, it's just do not exceed. It's not a requirement to pay out that much.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of L6. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. The noes have it. L6 is lost. To the bill, Representative Sukla.
Like doing this. Thank you, Madam Chair. I move L005 to House Bill 1005 and ask that it be properly displayed.
One moment. It is properly displayed. Representative Sukla.
Well, out west here, we like to do things really simple, and this here, I believe, is really simple. We also like to take care of our local ranchers and landowners, and this bill basically is very simple. What it does is it incentivizes the film festival to use property here in the state of Colorado, and it does that with the tax credit that sunsets in 15 years. I think the bill sponsors will really like it.
Majority Leader Duran.
I do love your tenacity. So members, L005 would give a property tax cut to entities that host these festivals. Oftentimes, local higher education campuses host screenings for film festivals, and they don't pay property tax, so this won't work in those cases. But in general, the legislature just delivered significant property tax relief. This bill is about delivering a reliable economic boost to Colorado's small businesses. If this amendment gets on, we will be driving a budget cut for fire departments, police, schools, and other local services. So I ask for a no vote.
Representative Sukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Majority Leader. This basically is where it's going to be filmed, the location of the filming, and not necessarily the film festival itself.
Representative DeGraff.
But where it's going to be at? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Somebody keeps messing this thing up. All right, I like this idea. I mean, this kind of spreads the wealth, literally and metaphorically. Having the tax credit go to the properties is just saying to the it just really having the state put a little bit more in the game here, and saying, yeah, we want to give that opportunity for filming to be someplace else, and recognizing from the property owner that there would be some incentive, and then that would help bring those benefits to the communities where they're in. So I think it's an easy way. I mean, it also, the nice thing is that this does recognize some of the reason that Colorado has become so non-competitive. Because this is just in property tax. This doesn't really get into all the metro districts and all the other pseudo-property taxes that we pay. This just goes directly to the property tax, which I'm told over and over is one of the lowest in the country. Of course, it's not counting those others. And for the, I'm trying to figure out where it was that we gave this massive property tax cut, because all that was given on property tax was a slight decrease to the large increase. And I don't think a slight decrease to a large increase is considered a significant tax cut. So I like this. I like being able to spread this benefit around the state.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of L5. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The noes have it. L5 is lost. To the bill, is there any? Representative Richardson.
One last time. Thank you, Madam Chair. I move L004 to House Bill 1005 and ask that it be properly displayed.
One moment. Okay. Oh.
All right.
It is properly displayed.
Okay,
Representative Richardson.
So a very strong case has been made that this film festival, if they choose Colorado and Boulder, will bring great benefit to the state monetarily. But it will obviously also, with all the people that are coming to see these films and attend the festival, bring increased traffic and congestion. So this amendment would allow the state, or have the state look at how much money was brought in and use half of it to address our poor and failing road infrastructure and help out with the congestion that's caused. So I would ask for a yes vote.
Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to my colleague for the suggestion. This amendment would require that we take half of that revenue, cut it, and put half of it to a cash fund and spend it like general fund. So this is going to increase the state revenue from the Sundance Festival. It's going to grow the Tabor surplus. So this amendment will take away Tabor refund dollars. And not only that, it's an 11-day festival. It's 11 days. It's not going to cause that much of a big headache for everybody. It's like less than 2 weeks long. I ask for a no vote on this amendment.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of L4. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The noes have it. L4 is lost. To the bill, Representative Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
And an honor to serve with you.
$36 million. It's $34 million for the tax credits going forward, $1.5 million that edit already put up, and then the $500,000 of sprinkles around to log roll and get the smaller festivals to agree not to oppose this and ask why we aren't being supported throughout the state. So $36 million to get more tourists here and put Colorado on the map. $36 million, you could give a $500 tax credit voucher to families that live 500 miles away from Colorado to come to Colorado. That's 72,000 people as individuals. If they bring two, that's 144,000. If Boulder is putting up equivalent amounts of money of $34 million, we're talking another 68,000 that they could just give $500 travel credits to people to come to Colorado, no matter where in Colorado. That's 140,000. And again, if all brought just one person with them, 280,000 people throughout the state visiting the state, fishing in places, skiing in places, attending the stock shows, attending Elitch's, spread throughout the state. But instead, we're going to focus almost $100 million if Boulder's putting up another $34 million, $68, $70 million. And again, this is public money. All this secrecy does not belong in public contracts. How much money is going forward? We have to let people know. That's what we're doing here right now, publicly. The other issue this is a tax credit, but it's not Tabor dependent. That means if we go into a recession, this money is going out of our own general fund. Our own general fund, competing with Medicare, Medicaid, and schools. But rather than bringing in 300,000 people, they're not the right people, I understand, because these people supposedly are real wealthy. We were told that in the committees. They have lots of money. Those are the kind of people we want. But these subsidies to bring in these people, when we have a recession, and it's not will we, it's when, over a 10-year period, it's not capped. all this hate and discontent we're going through right now on trying to protect Medicaid, and that's my number one priority, is Medicaid. We've even looked, at least in my office, at trying to zero out all the crony capitalism tax credits for the next 2 years and maybe do just a 5% refundable tax credit for Medicaid providers to try and get us over this hump. But instead, we're putting out more tax credits to get the right people to come here. So I want to make sure we protect ourselves and protect our budget for what's important in the future. So I'm offering Amendment L19 to House Bill 1005 and ask that it be displayed.
Representative Marshall, you have to say, I move.
I move L19, Amendment L19 to House Bill 1005, ask for it to be displayed.
Okay, one moment.
This amendment should be very...
One moment, Representative Marshall's. Sorry. Okay, it is properly displayed. Representative Marshall.
This amendment should be very familiar to anyone who's dealt with tax credits in the last few years. It says that these tax credits are Tabor surplus dependent. So if we go into a recession or the budget collapses, the credits are dependent on that surplus. It doesn't eat into our general budget. It doesn't compete with Medicaid. It doesn't compete with our roads. It doesn't compete with the basic functions of government to order to subsidize a film festival. So I ask for a yes on this amendment.
Majority Leader Duran.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I ask for a no vote on this amendment. This is a Tabor trigger. This would prevent the tax credit from being issued in certain years. We need certainty for Sundance. In exchange, Sundance will raise tax revenue. This is an unnecessary amendment, so I ask for a no vote.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Madam Majority Leader, for not messing up the podium again. I just looked at the Tabor, the note on the fiscal note, because I thought it's not estimated, and that it's not estimated on there that it's going to increase the Tabor. And I don't want to use, it's the taxpayer Bill of Rights. It's the surplus in the taxpayer Bill of Rights that we're spending. And this is just saying that there has to be a surplus. Now, I don't know, I mean, per the taxpayer Bill of Rights, we're supposed to we're supposed to return that money, those tax extractions that were in excess of what they were, what the state was supposed to take. And now we're looking at investing other people's money in a scheme that does not have a guaranteed return on investment. I mean, it's just like you know, the film festival, or the festival that my colleague mentioned before. It's like the Olympics. A lot of countries, they want the Olympics, and then a lot of those smaller countries find out that it cost them more than they made. So we really don't have any guarantees. The Tabor surplus here isn't mentioned, but we do know that we're going to be taking money out of the general fund, out of the excess tax extractions from the citizens of Colorado, and then we're going to be bringing money back into the general fund. Not necessarily invest. So it's not really an investment of the citizens' money. It's more of a laundering of the excess. It's not excess in the Tabor surplus. It's excess extractions from the citizens of Colorado. And of course, the reason for doing these tax credits ultimately is to make that tax credit go to zero, so that they can convince you to get rid of Tabor altogether, so that they can raise the taxes without limit. It's part of why U-Haul can't find trailer space to park in Cheyenne, but we can't find a U-Haul to rent in Colorado. So if this is just preventing from overextending, now if this was really a priority to the state, if we were not extended over our budget by $4.5 million, yes, $4.5 million, three and a half, or 4.5, whatever it is, in certificates of participation, long-term debt that's classified as not debt somehow. We're going to find out some more interesting financial math when we see SB 003, so they're getting more creative. This is just helping with being transparent. We don't have any guarantee that this is going to bring in money. So this would be a liability that is against that excess extraction, that if that excess extraction is not there, then all of a sudden it comes out of the general fund, and then it becomes a different problem. And right now we can't solve it because we're tapping into our emergency funds, and the emergency is that we have legislators that can't control their spending.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of L19. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no? No. The noes have it. L19 is lost. To the bill. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1005 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1005 is passed. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title of Senate Bill 4.
Senate Bill 4 by Senators Winter F. and Marchman, also Representatives Wilford and Garcia, concerning regulating fees licensed child care programs may charge families.
Representative Wilford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 4.
To the bill.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Members, we are excited to be bringing this bill today. This bill comes from the experience from a former state representative, Danea Escar in Pueblo, applying for and paying many deposits for daycare spots and then never seeing that money again. When I reached out to a couple of mom friends that also have had kids on daycare wait lists, I asked, is this a problem? Is this something that you've experienced? And I had one of my friends tell me that she put down deposits for 16 different daycare centers only to ever be offered one spot. This bill is about making sure that parents can recover some of those deposit fees, some of those wait list fees, and some of those administrative fees associated with applying for and waiting for a spot to open up at a daycare. We are confident that this bill is going to help families save money, and it is expensive to raise kids in 2025, so any dollar that we can help parents recover and put back into their pockets is a good thing. So I would ask for an aye vote.
Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I'm going to just talk very briefly about the specific components in this bill. If you all remember, I was just here a couple days ago on a topic very similar about making sure that our child care sector works both for providers and for families. There was a resounding request for child care policy to be industry and sector-wide. Well, this is what this one is, so any of you that requested that, here it is. I hope you vote yes. What this policy is bringing is, one, it's ensuring that when families put down a waitlist fee, a deposit, or any other fee that holds a spot, that if they are not enrolled into that center within 6 months, they can request a refund, minus administrative fees to operate that waitlist. This also ensures that the department determines what that administrative fee is. What this bill also does is the enforcement mechanism in this bill exists within the regular models of operation within the Department of Early Childhood. So if CDEC is already going out and doing their checks within each licensed facility, and it turns out that they are not, in fact, following guidelines in this bill of having a reimbursement process for their waitlist fees and other securing fees, or if they're not being transparent with their fee schedule so families know and understand what they're signing up for, then they're offered an opportunity to correct. If they do not correct, then they face penalties within CDEC. This is not an easy time for providers, and it is not an easy time for families. Colorado holds the 5th highest cost in childcare in the nation. I'm going to say that one more time so everyone hears that. Colorado holds the 5th highest cost for childcare in the nation. Parents of young children are paying college tuition prices for childcare. In addition to the tuition cost of childcare, they are also having to pay upwards of $1,000 to more in some just to hope that they get on a wait list and that they might get their kid in that spot. We have a lot of work to do to make sure that our child care system works both for families and for providers. The best that we can do right now, without forcing providers to cap their tuition rates, which would sink providers, is allow for an opportunity for families to recoup the cost of wait lists if they are not enrolled in that center. I want to be clear that what this bill does, it also requires families to request a refund. This is not automatic. Each center will be able to set their own process for request. Each center will say, email us, handwrite us a letter, mail us a card. Each center will determine their own process for requesting of a reimbursement. This will be burdensome on parents. I want to be clear, because every parent on every wait list is going to have to learn and understand what is that reimbursement process. But it's important that we're also responsive to the unique nature in which each center operates. I wish this bill was a greater solution to transforming childcare, to truly making it affordable for families, but it's not. But we are doing the best we can with the limited resources that exist in this state, and I urge an aye vote.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Tuition costs are high. College rates, college prices for daycare. Colorado is the 5th highest. Again, we're emphasizing why Colorado is becoming non-competitive. So why is tuition high? Well, there's a lot we can't do about it because 22.5% inflation from inserting 30% of fake money into the economy has driven the value of your wages down. Can't do anything about that. Well, you could. We did. But that makes everybody's wages worth 22.5% less. So now you have to pay more because the property is the same price and the property taxes have gone up. Maybe not necessarily, oh yeah, definitely on property tax, they've gone up. Gone up a huge amount, and then with a small decrease in the increase. One of the things that we learned about is what happens to these enrollment fees, and not all places charge them, because it is somewhat of a competitive market, but not all of them charge them, but that there are 14 forms is what it was cited, 13 or 14 forms that have to be filled out. Now, does this bill address the bureaucracy that forces the administrative state to use 14 forms? And I'm guaranteeing you that most of those forms have the same information on them. So that means probably what, 14 different agencies? Or how many agencies are going to require just different forms when they could just they could streamline their processes? Well, we're talking about why we need this intervention because the money, these daycare centers have said it is just one more step in pushing them out of a very fragile market. Now, some said we've got rooms available, we've got slots available. Well, that makes it competitive. What you want, if you want a competitive market where this you make it so that there's more providers that are available. And these type of bills, these regulation, the over-regulation, the continual regulation, the continual boot on the face of the businesses of Colorado, I think that's an Orwell illusion. It's very appropriate. The continual boot on the face of the businesses of Colorado makes these businesses uncompetitive, and it puts them out of business. Now, I don't know why this one would put them out, but there were some of them that said these sort of things are going to push us out, which does the opposite of what's intended. So a lot of this money is already invested, and it is recognized in the bill that there might be an administrative fee. But I think the administrative fee is that the state is allowed to identify what that administrative fee is that they get to keep. Well, that's telling somebody that their hours are, the value of their time is decided by the state. And some of those forms, they can't be just outsourced. They have to be conducted, they have to be handled by people that have the security clearance. So you have forms, you have 13 or 14 forms, probably repetitious, redundant, and duplicative, that have to be filled out by people with security clearances, or security clearances, background checks. And then the state comes in and says, well, your time is worth this much, you can do this. Well, what you might do is those places that are not charging fees is you might just add fees to those. And fees are also used, if anybody's had kids in college, there are application fees because there are processing and handling. And it also discourages people from just spamming out all kinds of applications. Now, it was alluded in there that somebody might put down a deposit but then not know what the actual costs were going to be, which seems odd that somebody would put down a deposit for a daycare center where they're going to put their kids, but not know what the fees are going to be. So this is a level of, so we have taxes, we have inflation, we have payroll, we have property tax, all these things that this body can actually do something about, that this body can do something about internally. We could require the state in these agencies and look at it and pass some sort of, I don't know, pass a bill that says you've got to have a single form in the state, and it's got to be, and then it's going to be sent to these different agencies, but they get one form, not 13 or 14. That's going to cut down on your paperwork. That's going to cut down on your cost. We could stop spending so much, which devalues currency, which devalues wages, which means the minimum wage and all other wages have to increase, which makes this go out of business. So the places that the state can actually make a difference, make a significant difference, then it comes in with a disingenuous attempt to say, we are trying to lower your child health care costs. You're talking about, some of these bills are $2,200, $2,300 a month. So if you got a couple kids, $5,000 a month, $7,500 a month. It's no wonder that some parents are staying home. Yelp is a great thing. Doesn't require state intervention. Online services like that, chats, real-time feedback, what places are worthwhile, what places are not, does not require state intervention. This is not a significant savings for the people, for the parents of Colorado. It says it is, but even if it's a $100 application and you do that 10 times, that's $1,000. That's half a month tuition. It's not cheap, certainly not cheap. But this bill is not a solution to the things that are hurting people. If you want to solve why people are hurting, Let's look at property taxes, not just property taxes and say that they're low. Look at actual property taxes with all the fees and all the enterprise fees, all of those things. That's where people are hurting. That's what this body doesn't want to deal with. So stop skirting around the edges of this issue. Let's get into the meat of the problem. The meat of the problem is this room and the red room. This is where the pain comes from, and there's absolutely no appetite to deal with that pain in this room. It's always pushing it back onto the taxpayers, vilifying the businesses. Stop vilifying the businesses and figure out why they're leaving Colorado. Just for the record, I said red room, not red rum.
Representative Wilford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to take a minute to respond to some of the things that we all just heard. Number one, I find it really frustrating to be called disingenuous when we are bringing forward a problem and actually providing a solution to solve it. Secondly, I have a problem hearing that we are vilifying all of the,
The committee will go into a brief recess. The committee will come back to order. Representative Wilford.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I'm just going to make one point. We heard from the previous speaker that when you apply for college, you have to pay fees, and that $100, $50, that's just the cost of applying for college. That's just the cost of applying for daycare. And sure, it adds up, but it's not much. Let me tell you, to a lot of families, $100, $50, $150, those dollars add up. $100 is 3 weeks worth of formula for a child. That's at least, $100 is at least 2 big boxes of diapers. For a family struggling to pay the bills, that money makes a difference. Yelp doesn't fix wait lists. 14 forms doesn't add up. I have no idea what that's about. But when we talk about people receiving a fee schedule when they apply for a space at a daycare, that information is critical for families to determine whether or not they're going to be able to pay the tuition, whether or not it is financially feasible for them to keep their child in that particular location. This is critical information for parents to have when making an informed decision. This bill, as my colleague said earlier, puts the burden on parents to follow up and to get the refunds if they are interested in getting a refund. And I will tell you, those dollars add up. And this bill will help parents recover money and keep it in their pockets. We would ask for a yes vote again.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I always like listening to people who follow me to find out when they tell me what I said, which is not what I said. It's not that the money is not significant. The deposits are significant. They're not significant compared to the cost, and they're not significant in the way that the state could deal with the actual problem. So coming up here and saying that I said it's insignificant, I don't think so. We could mark the tape, go back there and listen to it. But it's just a standard vilification technique. So yes, we would like to make this care more affordable. The state can make it more affordable. How does the state make it more affordable? Lower the taxes. Stop nickel and diming everybody to death. Make these 14 forms, into a single. See what that does. Tell these businesses what a standard administrative fee is that can be subtracted. Some of these businesses are going to just go, well, then we can do a fee, and we'll do that fee. So you might end up with fees that you didn't have before. Concerning regulating fees and licensed child care centers may charge families. It's just ironic that this is about fees, which is how the state funds its proclivities, because it can't face the citizens and say we need to raise your taxes because the citizens don't believe the state has the best interest. So this is just telling the citizens of Colorado, telling these businesses, don't behave like the state. Do what we tell you, not what we do. Yes, the money is significant. Daycare is very expensive. This bill does not. This bill cuts a little bit around the edges, but it does not deal with the problem. This cuts around, I said disingenuous because it just works around the edges to give the pretense of giving a solution when the body itself is refusing to deal with the problem.
Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We heard this bill in Health and Human Services, and I had some concerns with the bill in committee, and I still do. It's more paperwork that has to be submitted to another government entity, and got assurances that small in-home daycares where 4 or 5 children, they would be exempt from doing this paperwork. But Does it really ever work out that way? Think about that. Once a form is generated by some department of our state government, everybody who touches that department has to fill it out. The other part that bothered me about this bill is I asked the sponsors if they were here doing this bill in cooperation or in cooperation with the Department of Early Childhood, and I do not believe that department is aware that they were bringing this bill forward. I don't think anymore we should do things like that, so I urge a no on this bill. It really isn't necessary.
Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to clarify. The question that was asked in committee was if this was brought to us by CDEC, and the response was no. CDEC has known about this bill. They've been part of the stakeholding since the beginning. The other thing I want to also just clarify is the perception of one sector of this childcare industry being exempt is because providers that care for less than 4 children or less are informal. They're not licensed. So they don't fall under the licensed requirements where this section fits. So that's why they are quote unquote exempt. But since they are informal, they're unlicensed, they're not registered, they don't have to actually submit any sort of forms because they are just providers that are caring for 4 or less children. Just want to clarify that.
Representative Garcia Sander.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I was also on the committee that heard this, and we heard about the child care deserts. And I guess I'd like to bring up the idea of fair fees. So when our child care centers collect this application, this waitlist fee, that fee covers tours of the facility. It covers the paperwork required to fill out the application and process it. It covers the staffing for providing the tours and processing the paperwork. And so, in a sense, people who pay these fees are paying for services rendered. How often do we get to receive services and then go back for those services that we received and say, I'd like my fee back? That doesn't seem fair to the people that are providing the services. We also heard from several child care providers who came to testify, and they said really the things that are driving up the costs of child care are teacher wages, payroll, county tax bills, local property taxes, expenses with inflation. And so those are the things that are really driving up. And so, you know, unfortunately, this is a small way that they help cover the costs of their staffing to cover the tours and the paperwork and the services rendered when somebody applies to attend a child care center. So I just want to remind everybody, today's solution could be tomorrow's problem. Thank you.
Is there any Representative Luck?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a prior speaker had mentioned some 14 forms. I would like clarity on the 14 forms, what that means.
Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I as well would like clarity on what 14 forms are.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was the number that one of the providers that gave us a breakdown was that they have to fill out 13 or 14 forms in order to complete the process. And then they also referred to that there's at least 5 to 7 touches with parents and families in every waitlist. Like was mentioned, like there's going to be a tour, 1 or 2 tours. There's going to be phone calls. There's going to be checking on the wait list. There's just lots of interactions because people are going to be concerned about their kids, especially if they're going to be spending. Some of these tuitions that were mentioned were $2,400 per month, which is pretty high. Which maybe we ought to look at if we want to value child care. Maybe we ought to value that so that create a child care in every home, where we start doing credits, a little bit more significant credit, so that parents can have a child care in their home and they don't have to be forced out into the market. So, because if you look at three of these, 74, 24, 72, 100 for three individual kids, that's kind of the optimum per psychologist. That's about $84,000 per year value. These kids are not, we need to value these children. I think, so anyways, that's what the fees go. The people who testified said they had to fill out a multiple number of forms. I'm surprised that the sponsors don't know the exact number of forms, just in case that was hyperbole. But there were 5 to 7 contacts, they said, in every interaction. So that's time out of their day, and they have to be trained providers. They have to be providers that have a security clearance or background check. So that all adds up to the cost. So all of these costs are driven up by the state. And then the state comes in and says, in order to save these costs, we're going to force the businesses to absorb the brunt of it. So figure out how to lower the costs, figure out how to lower the brunt of inflation, figure out how to lower the property tax. That's how you make things affordable, not cutting around the edges and telling businesses that they can't charge fees like the state does.
Representative Wilford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to be clear in that there is nothing in our bill that says that there has to be a form attached to this process. In fact, we provided a lot of latitude and flexibility for these child care centers, licensed or not licensed, to be able to design a process that works for them. Oftentimes, parents do fill out a lot of forms once they have accepted a spot into a daycare center. I know when my daughter as well as my son were enrolled in the daycare centers, there was a lot of paperwork, and rightfully so. But our bill does not touch that. The other piece that I would add is that the number of forms that are completed upon enrollment is going to differ based upon what daycare center or provider as each parent is working with. So just want to clarify that there's not a requirement in this bill for a form. I hope that helps.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you for the clarification, but the business owner, we're not talking about the additional forms, because this will require an additional process, and most likely a process will probably require multiple forms. So not specified in here, so another unstated number of forms. What the business owner was referring to is, or that to which the business owner was referring, to be grammatically correct for my teacher colleague, is that there were about 14 forms that they had to fill out already as part of the pre-enrollment process. So they had to, and I'm just going off what the witness testimony was, that they said there were forms that they had to fill out, that the application fee went towards that. So if that's not true, but they weren't talking about this additional process that's going to be required of them, they were just talking about what they already have to do as part of the wait process. And as far, you mentioned colleges early on, part of the college process, the application process, is also to discourage people from just spamming out applications wherever. They want to know, those colleges want to know if they're going to invest in the time and the manpower in vetting those applications, that those people are serious. Businesses deserve to know if somebody is serious about whether they're going to apply or not. And obviously some are not if they put down a deposit and then don't even know what the fees would be. So there's lots to it. And I think bottom line is you need to lower the cost for businesses, taxes, paperwork, work with these agencies, figure out what the forms are, if they are any, and lower the cost for these businesses instead of demanding that they lower that you force the way they behave as a business.
Representative Luck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I guess there is confusion about these forms, but I wanted to ask the bill sponsor, or maybe the other bill sponsor knows, when those forms were filed out at that child care center, are these forms that the state is requiring? Is there some sort of mechanism where the state has a filing requirement? Or is this internal forms that that particular daycare center has control over? Or are those forms sort of a hybrid insofar as they're trying to collect the data and information necessary to abide state law? Do we have any idea?
Representative Garcia.
Thank you very much for that question. If you'll give me a little bit of latitude, Madam Chair, as I have to give a little background in order to answer this question appropriately. So to start, it's important to understand that our child care sector is a private business model. It is not a state program, if you will. Every child care is an independent model. It's a business or a nonprofit. Colorado has set up standards because we're caring for kids. These standards are housed under what is called an entity called Colorado Shines. Colorado Shines has 5 levels. Each level is based on the level of quality that each center provides. If you are Colorado Shines level 1, you are doing the bare minimum of the state expectations of how you should operate your center in order to ensure that the kids in your care are safe and secure. If you are level 5, you are crop of the crop, prime of whatever those sayings are. Creme de la creme, yes, creme de la creme. So each one of those levels, Colorado Shines, the provider has to apply to be one of those levels. So when they're applying to be one of those levels, it includes visitation, it includes monitoring, it includes justification. In that comes paperwork, but then there is a reward depending on what level of Colorado Shines you are. If you are a center, so there's that part. Every center can also accept CCAP, the Child Care Assistance Program. If you accept CCAP, because it is a federal program, there is additional paperwork that families have to submit through the Department of Human Services. It's not through the center. They have to go and apply for CCAP through DHS departments in the counties. If this family themselves qualifies for CCAP, then a center that says, yes, we will accept CCAP providers will have that spot, they'll accept the family. The additional paperwork that comes there is when they have to submit for reimbursement to the county for the CCAP reimbursement to the provider for caring for that child after they're there. So it's a monthly after the cost has been expensed. Then, depending on, like if you are a large child care center, let's say you are a large center that has 6 classrooms you're caring for from toddlers
Excuse me,
to
Representative
5 years old.
Garcia, I'm going to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Members, it is very loud in here, and it's hard to hear what's going on in the well, so please keep your voices down. Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Y'all, I don't know about you, but child care policy is so exciting. Shall we continue? So then, if you are a large center, you have multiple classrooms, you have from toddler classrooms to 5-year-old classrooms, you have different expectations within each classroom because each child, each age group has different safety requirements. And as a large center, you understand that, you prepare for that, you develop your space to do that. If you are a family child care home, you could care for 6 kids, up to 6 kids, or you could be a large child care home to care up to 12 kids, but they're still age-based. In all of that, you still have to submit evidence that you are doing quality work. Why, is it burdensome? Yes. But why is it necessary? Because we are entrusting these incredible providers with our most precious, precious people in this state, our youngest, tiniest kids. So there does need to be some level of oversight on whether or not they are providing the type of care and the education that they are claiming to do so.
Representative Luck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I thoroughly agree. Child care, as well as child care policy, super exciting. Now that I have a 13-month-old, it really is. Every day is different, and my poor house. But in any case, so question, as I understand this, just as a suggestion maybe, or a point of pondering. So my colleagues are concerned about the state inserting itself into private contractual arrangements, right? That is the concern. What I'm hearing from you is that the state has already done what is important in terms of giving information to the consumer that they can then use through Colorado Shines in this 5-tier setup to make a determination about what is in the best interest of their kid, or to best align their particular situation with that particular set of providers. So I wonder if the bill sponsors at least would consider the idea of, instead of mandating that fees can't be accepted or what have you, to shift to the idea that Colorado Shines weights those entities that do give back the fees such that they can be in a different level. So they might have this, they might be number 5 on all these other indicators, but because they don't give back those fees, they drop to number 4. And that's part of the descriptor of to why they're there, and then allow the consumer to engage in that. My concern, I guess, in talking about like just the application process, not the deposit, not the wait list, but the application process, because I can imagine that if you are taking in 14 forms, whether it's the state or for all of these different things that they have to get, or for their own processing of kids and understanding different dynamics, health, what have you, to see if they could actually service that child in the way that is necessary, that can be time intensive. And so just receiving that application and looking at that application, if we're saying that it is possible that you'll only get pennies back for that time invested, is that fair in that instance of the application fee, putting aside all the other fees? But in that instance, are we actually opening the door? Now, I recognize that the bill has been amended, because the initial bill said $25, and I don't know what the average application fee is. Maybe you guys can say, is it a $30 application fee on average, such that you're getting the bulk of it back, and you can say that should be sufficient to cover your costs of processing. But on that point, I'm just trying to wrestle with the application part.
Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to just acknowledge the good representative from Teller County. Thank you for the back and forth, the questions, and really bringing to light like the spirit of debate and inquiry into this chamber. Would we consider having Colorado Shines, wait extra if people do a refund? Absolutely. Can we do that now? No. Why? Because we don't have the money to do so. Unfortunately, any sort of change that we would put into Colorado Shines would spark a fiscal note. It wouldn't happen. I would love to continue that conversation with CDEC, with providers, with that. I think one thing to note, though, where that might pose some sort of inequitable solutions to some providers, is not all providers charge waitlist fees. Not all do. Some don't. Some just allow you to be on the waitlist fee without charging. Some don't charge a waitlist fee and they charge a registration fee. Some just say it's a deposit. And we don't know how many do, how many don't, what the average is, what it isn't, because it's not something that the state tracks. They don't track because it's a private business model to do so, which is why in order for us to be able to support some sort of relief for families without already causing more harm to a struggling industry, we are saying there should be a reimbursement if the child is not enrolled after 6 months. So we eliminated the cap. You can charge whatever you want on your waitlist fees. Continue charging the $250, the $100. but there should be a reimbursement if the child is not enrolled after 6 months. If the family chooses to deny the enrollment, they can't request the reimbursement. I want to, along these lines, really quick, before we, come on up here. Just come. I'm pulling you up already. So
we're on the bill together now. Are you going to move my amendment?
Oh, you still have more questions? No, I'm just going to tee you up. But if you, okay, go ahead. And then I'm.
Representative Luck.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for just your patience in this dialogue. So you raise other questions then for me, because in that bill, it talks about how the application fee, these fees can be held to a certain amount that the state will determine how much they can keep for their administrative piece, right? So if I'm hearing you correctly, right now the state does not know. Okay, well, I have my own questions first. Thank you. Hello, Colorado. I know you don't know what is going on over here, but I would like to talk to you because I have a question related to how this is going to work, because the fiscal note right now is $0, and yet, if I'm understanding the bill sponsor correctly, to have Colorado Shines make these determinations and get into the nitty-gritty of the fee structures will take too much money, but really that's what they would have to do. That's the research they would have to do to make an equitable determination of how much is an administrative fee that can be returned and how much not. And so if already it has no fiscal note, and we believe that we can do the work that's contemplated under the bill, which is this kind of inspection to say we need to know how much is actually going for admin and how much is just being kept, gratis, then that is that same level of analysis that would be required in order to update the Colorado Shines. And so I guess I'm just confused as to why, if there's no fiscal note now, there would be a fiscal note if we shifted the policy.
Representative Garcia.
Great question. The reason why there isn't a fiscal note now is because we are not actually attaching this to licensing requirements per se. So we're not saying that if you do this, you're a Shines 3 or 4 or 5. We're not telling Shines to adjust their tracking. If we were to do that, there would have to be updates to the system, which always come with a cost. Senate Bill 4. We are discussing Senate Bill 4 for those who are wondering. That's it. I'm a little lost right now.
Representative Luck.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, bill sponsor, for having this conversation. So here's where I'm at. It says, page 3, Senate Bill 4, lines 10 through 19. It talks about a child care program may retain a reasonable administrative fee. This is starting on line 13, as determined by the department from a refundable fee before issuing a refund to the prospective family. My point in saying this is that the department is the state, and so the state, if they're going to make a fair adjudication of what constitutes refundable versus administrative, they're going to have to get into some nitty-gritty about what's going on in this private space. If they're already doing that and it doesn't drive a fiscal note, then why would shifting the policy, since they're already doing that investigation, drive the fiscal note?
Representative Garcia.
It's a technical systems piece. It's not the work of getting the data. Thank you, Madam Chair. So that's what it's a technical change within the system of computers and programming where that would have to sit.
Representative Bradley.
Better late than never. Thank you, Madam Chair. Ditto to everything that everyone said. There's a little bit of confusion up here. I would just like to move Amendment L008 to Senate Bill 4 and ask for it to be displayed.
One moment.
I move it. I absolutely move it.
It is properly displayed, Representative Bradley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is it Monday? Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay. I would like an amendment, and the bill sponsors and I spoke about this when I presented the bill. Just like the representative from Penrose, I had an issue with the state deciding, or the department deciding. I felt like it would be better to consult with the stakeholders, including families who use child care programs and licensed child care program providers, to talk about these fees and refunds and all sit down at the table. So I worked with the bill sponsors and asked for an aye vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Garcia.
Listen up. Still exciting childcare. Starting to feel a little nauseous over here. I'm just kidding. But we support this amendment. We support this amendment because we truly believe that those who are directly impacted are the experts, and it is necessary to have the expertise of providers and of families to be able to determine what is the appropriate refund rate, what is the appropriate administrative rate. So we fully support this amendment, and we ask for an aye vote.
Is Representative Luck.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And for the people of Colorado, see, this is what healthy debate leads to, bipartisan amendments. It's a wonderful, wonderful day.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of L8. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. L8 is adopted. To the bill, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 4 as amended. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 4 as amended passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of Senate Bill 133.
Senate Bill 133 by Senators Snyder and Carson, also Representatives Soper and Camacho, concerning voidable transactions and in connection therewith, updating the Colorado Uniform Fraudulent Transfers Act and renaming it the Colorado Voidable Transactions Act.
Representative Soper.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 133 and the Finance Committee report.
To the Finance report, Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In Finance, we added an amendment just really clarifying the legislative history portion to make it very clear that a specific portion of the Uniform Law Act on voidable transactions does not apply in Colorado, so that we for sure have the Colorado model. And we ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Finance Committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Camacho.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So many of you may be asking what exactly is a voidable transaction. A voidable transaction, often referred to as a fraudulent transaction, occurs when a debtor transfers assets with the intent to hinder, delay, or defraud creditors. This can take many forms. For example, if a business owner facing bankruptcy transfers property to a family member for far below market value to keep it out of creditors' reach, that transfer may be voidable. Similarly, if a person racks up significant debts and then quickly sells off valuable assets to a friend to avoid paying those debts, the transaction could be considered fraudulent. Laws against voidable transactions help ensure that individuals and businesses cannot improperly shield assets from legitimate financial obligations. Colorado's current law, the Colorado Uniform Fraudulent Transaction Act, colloquially known as CUFTA, was enacted in 1991 and has seen only minimum updates for over 30 years. During this time, financial practices and legal standards have evolved significantly. The Colorado Bar Association and business law experts have worked for years to develop this update, ensuring that our state's statutes align with modern business practices while strengthening protections for Colorado citizens. This bill does not create new rights or liabilities, rather it clarifies and redefines existing law to improve fairness, consistency, and transparency. And as we learned in committee, we do it in the Colorado way. This is definitely good bill, vote yes territory, and I would urge an aye vote.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I concur with my co-prime sponsor. This is a great bill. It's the Colorado way. Voidable transactions have been in statute ever since the Elizabethan era. They were some of the first laws enacted in the U.S. after the American Revolution. This is just an update, first time since 1991. We ask for a yes vote. Thank you. Or second time since 1991.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 133. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 133 passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of Senate Bill 16.
Senate Bill 16 by Senator Snyder, also Representative Basenecker, concerning updating the framework governing escrow disbursements for real estate transactions.
Speaker Pro Tem Basenecker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
And an honor to serve with you.
I move Senate Bill 16 and the Finance Committee report.
To the committee report.
In the Finance Committee, we simply made a clarifying amendment that removed some language that the Senate should have removed, but we took care of it there. Technical amendment, we ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the finance report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The finance report passes. To the bill. Representative Weinberg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fellow colleagues, today is a good day for Colorado again. This bill's additions of clarifications on the deceptive disbursement of real estate transaction funds will mitigate fraudulent activity within the industry as a whole. Under the Colorado Consumer Protection Act, a deception trade practice carries a $20,000 civil penalty for each individual violation. This modification of qualifying infractions will promote greater transparency, accountability, and efficiency within the real estate transaction process. I want to thank my co-prime, Speaker Pro Tem Basenecker, and I urge an aye vote on this bill.
Speaker Pro Tem Basenecker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to my co-prime. Wonderful to work with Rep. Weinberg on this bill. Senate Bill 16 also just provides an easy-to-use framework governing escrow disbursements during a real estate transaction closing. Bill keeps all sorts of existing good funds and adds the use of modern payment systems, which candidly can aid in the secure transfer of these funds when it matters most, and we ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 16. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 16 passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title of Senate Bill 24.
Senate Bill 24 by Senators Robertson, Frizzell, also Representatives Carter and Soper, concerning judicial officers and in connection therewith making appropriation.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 24.
To the bill. Representative Soper.
Well, thank you. I was just trying to see if there was a committee report. But in this bill, we're adding 15 new judgeships. This is very important for Colorado in that there's key functions of government. And one of the key functions of government is the judicial system. We also have a speedy trial provision at both the federal and the state level, guaranteeing a person will have a speedy trial. You can't have a speedy trial if our courts are backlogged and a defendant has the inability to make a case. It also hurts, for example, our civil courts. Couples getting divorced, for example, could see significant delays. Or if children need to be removed from unsafe homes, you could have significant delays if our civil courts are backed up. When you're a crime victim, as I talked about, your case can't get resolved if the courts are also backed up and backlogged. So justice is not served to those individuals as well. So it's both going against the victim and the defendant. And then as a business or as an individual, if you find yourself in a civil litigation, you want to be able to find relief in a timely manner. Right now, our courts are incredibly backed up and backlogged. Certainly, a number of our judges are expressing frustration. Some of them are even leaving the bench early before an opportunity to retire. I had served before joining the legislature on the 7th Judicial Nominating Commission for 4 years. And during that time on the commission, we appointed a number of judges. And what I can tell you is already some of the judges that we were appointing at that time, we only had a choice of maybe 3 or 4 candidates at the most. And that's because a lot of attorneys who would have made great judges looked at the workload, they looked at the docket, and they said, you know, that's way too much. And now I'm hearing from more judges that they're frustrated because not only do they work long hours, 10, 12-hour days, Monday through Friday, but it's being moved into the weekends. And they're humans as well. They also need some time to be able to rest and regather their thoughts. The judgeships that are being created are all across the state in many of the districts that are represented here. It's a plan that's really reasonable and has been worked out with the JBC and will be rolled out over a 2-year period, and we'd ask for a yes vote.
Representative Carter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
What I want people to know, for those that don't know what my day job is, and to put it simply, I'm a criminal defense attorney, and I'm sitting here asking for more judges. If that doesn't tell you how bad that we need these judges, I don't know what will. The fact is, I'm also on something called the Judicial Performance Committee, where I sit down and I talk to these judges, and I talk to them about their issues. I talk to them about their caseload, and we talk to them about, for lack of a better word, and I believe Rep. Silver went into it, their burnout. These judges are overworked, and overworked judges make bad decisions. And those bad decisions do not care if you are a defendant or a victim. Either way, they are bad decisions. And so the reason I wanted to be on this bill, as I indicated, my service on the Judicial Performance Committee, as well as the fact that no matter what, we want just and equal outcomes, and having more judges is going to do that. So I'm asking for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 24. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 24 passes. Mr. Shebel, please read the title of Senate Bill 42.
Senate Bill 42 by Senators Cutter and Amabile, also Representatives Bradfield and English, concerning measures to address Colorado's behavioral health crisis response.
Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to move Senate Bill 25042, and the committee report and amendment.
To the committee report. Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill was presented to the Health and Human Services, and we had an amendment that was passed, and the bill came through the committee very successfully.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question I'm sorry, Representative Bradfield, did you say you had an amendment?
Yes.
To the committee report or to the bill?
To the committee report.
Okay. Would you like to move the amendment? Representative Bradfield.
I'd like to move the amendment that we had to the bill. I'm sorry, it was to the bill, not to the committee.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on the Health and Human Services Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the Health and Human Services Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report passes. To the bill.
Thank you.
Representative Bradfield.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill is a bipartisan, straightforward, geared to advance and enhance Colorado's behavioral health crisis response system by addressing the gaps and improving the accessibility, quality, coordination of the various crisis services to ensure that individuals in need receive the appropriate care in a timely manner. This will be done in several different ways.
Representative English.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This will be done, one, through stakeholder collaboration. By December 31st, 2025, the Department of Public Safety, in partnership with the Behavioral Health Administration, is mandated to convene a stakeholder group. This group's objectives include identifying existing resources and exemplary programs such as co-responder, alternative response, and mobile crisis response initiatives across Colorado. They will also assess reimbursement shortages and gaps within the behavioral health crisis response continuum and explore available state and federal funding options to address these issues, which we all know that's tight, but here we are.
Representative Bradfield.
Another area that this bill addresses is the inpatient mental care health care coverage. The bill proposes extending the Department of Health Care Policy and Financing reimbursement for inpatient mental health care at institutions. Upon obtaining the necessary federal authorization, HCPF could reimburse hospitals for up to 60 days of inpatient care, provided that the average length of stay does not exceed 30 days per calendar year, as permitted by federal law. Now, this money that I am speaking of, this additional funds to cover an additional 30 days, is coming from the federal government, and it's been outlined that the State Department shall reimburse an institution for providing inpatient mental health care treatment for up to 60 days in alignment with the federal waiver or federal law, as well as any reductions resulting from changes at the federal level. That's a lot of legalese, but to say that we have been promised money and we hope to get it.
Representative English.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To continue on with how this bill will work, emergency mental health hold evaluations. Current law requires that individuals detained under an emergency mental health hold receive an evaluation promptly after arrival at a facility. The bill stipulates that this evaluation must include an assessment to determine if the individual continues to meet the criteria for such a hold and requires further mental care in a designated facility. Discharge protocols. Facilities are directed to discharge individuals from emergency mental health holds only if they no longer meet the criteria for such holds. However, if a facility cannot provide appropriate medical care, it may transfer the individual to another facility designated by the BHA to offer necessary care and treatment.
Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And of course, no bill can come before this body without some reporting requirements. So the BHA is required to include in its annual report to the General Assembly, that's us, the reasons for discharging each person placed on an emergency mental health hold. Additionally, by December 31st of this year, all behavioral health entities, facilities, hospitals must provide BHA with information regarding their medical and behavioral health care capabilities.
Representative English.
As we come to an expedient close, lastly, the behavioral health data interoperability beginning October 1st, 2025, and continually annually until October 1st, 2030. The BHA, in coordination with HCPF and Health Information Organization Networks, is tasked with preparing and submitting reports to the General Assembly on behavioral health data interoperability. These reports will address strategies to enhance the exchange of data among behavioral health providers, considering care coordination needs, incentives for provider participation in health information networks, and leveraging existing functionalities to better serve individuals with behavioral health disorders. To conclude, it is clear that steps must be taken in order to put our state back on the right track when it comes to mental health. And as legislators, Senate Bill 2542 provides us with the opportunity to do so by confronting issues that render Coloradans in need from obtaining the resources that enable them to live happy, healthy, and successful lives. Thank you all for listening, and we ask for your yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 42? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 42. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 42 passes. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
The committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Shebel, the report of the Committee of the, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report as under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof and making the following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1005 is amended, 1280 is amended, passed on second reading, order and gross is placed on the calendar for third reading, final passage. Senate Bills 4 is amended, 16 is amended, 24, 42 is amended, 133 is amended, and 170 passed on second reading, ordered, revised, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Representative Lukens. Members, you have heard the motion. We do have amendments at the desk. Mr. Shebel, please read the Kelty Amendment, the report of the Committee of the Whole, House Bill 1005.
Representative Kelty moved to amend the report of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee and not adopting the following Kelty Amendment, L10 to House Bill 1005, to show that said amendment passed, that House Bill 1005 is amended passed.
Representative Kelty.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wanted to bring this amendment back again, just to give it one more chance. I do believe that we need to put Colorado first. We need to put Colorado businesses first. We need vendors, employees, workers, everything. Colorado needs to come first. Out of all the amendments on this bill, I really thought that this amendment would have been like the no-brainer one. Like, it's the easiest one there by putting everyone in Colorado that we care about, our families, our friends, our neighbors, people who are in the business, putting them first, like making sure they have preference over these festivals like this one here that we're proposing, bringing in outside vendors, outside builders. It's going to be a black eye in Colorado. Like I said, we need to learn from other states' mistakes instead of making them ourselves. It's much less costly to do that. The bill is for 10 years. This is going to, obviously, it's going to put Colorado first and the people of Colorado first for 10 years. To me, that's a big deal, and I think to them it's a big deal, and that is your constituents. Those are the people that you represent. You're saying you're going to put them first. Oh.
Representative Kelty, please move the bill.
Sorry,
please
I got
move
so
the
excited
amendment.
about it. It's really passionate. Yes, Madam Speaker, I move
the Kelty Amendment.
Pardon?
You can just state the Kelty Amendment.
I move the Kelty Amendment to the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee and not adopting my Kelty Amendment, HB 25-1005 L010, to show that the amendment to be passed.
Thank you, and it is properly displayed.
Thank you. So I'm very excited and passionate about this amendment. Thank you very much. But I would like for us to finally just, let's not make the same mistakes that other states have made. It's easy to find them, and honestly, I was in one of those states that made this mistake, and it was a huge black eye, and they ended up actually canceling everything. So let's do the people of Colorado a great service by approving this amendment. The bill does not specify the builders and the vendors, employees. It specifies, buying supplies and stuff like that, but we need to take it further. We need to keep the money in Colorado. Let's empower Colorado. Let's take it forward, and this is going to be a good moneymaker. Why not let it benefit Colorado, not other states? Otherwise, I do believe this is going to be a huge I told you so. And I'm one of those people. I will say I told you so. In 2, 3, 5 years, when Colorado, the people of Colorado are complaining that they're not getting the jobs, that they're not getting the revenue from this great event, it's going to come back and bite us. And that is what I'm trying to help us understand and avoid that. Colorado needs to avoid these mistakes. And please, just put Coloradans first. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing Representative Titone.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I urge a no vote on this amendment. I think there's a lot of confusion about what this bill does and what I think people think this bill does. This is about a film festival. A film festival involves showing films in theaters. We're not filming films and building sets and all of those different things. And the bill already includes criteria on how the festival can actually earn the credit. It's the expenses and the investments that they have to make in order to earn the credit. One of those criteria is for the investments to be made in Colorado for things like construction materials and hardware and depreciating things. Things that they do have to do a little bit, but it's not like they're building a set to film anything. The bill has criteria to invest in Colorado. This does not change that. It's already in the bill, and we urge a no vote.
Representative Kelty, you may speak one more time. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I completely understand what the bill sponsor is saying, but having gone through this, there's much more involved in the whole festival. If you've been to these festivals, there's vendors, they hire employees, they bring in employees. It's a huge deal. There's a ton of people involved, and I'm just trying to say, how about we just let them know to please give Colorado and Colorado builders and the people and employees preference over hiring and bringing in outside people. There is some building, but I understand we're not shooting movies. I'm not saying that. But the amount of people, it's going to bring in 70, 80,000 people. It's going to take people to actually facilitate that. And I'm asking just to give Colorado preference to the people that are going to be working these. Let's keep the money in their pockets, in Coloradans' pockets. And this is going to help us. I've been through this. I've seen it. I'm trying to put Colorado first. That's all I want to do. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of the Kelty Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 19 aye, 42 no, and 4 excused, the amendment is lost. Mr. Schiebel, please read the first Marshall Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report.
Representative Marshall moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in not adopting the following Marshall Amendment L16 to House Bill 1005 to show that said amendment passed and that House Bill 1005 is amended passed.
Representative Marshall.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you.
I move the first Marshall Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report and ask that it be displayed.
One moment. It is properly displayed. Please proceed.
Again, colleagues, the question is, how much is Boulder putting up? I researched this back in January because I knew it was coming up as an issue towards my committee in mid-January. Last week of January, it came to committee. And I'd already done the research and found out the state of Ohio was not going to put up a single penny. And the state of Utah was looking at putting up $3 million only in response to us putting forward the bill for $34 million. So the question was asked, how much is Boulder putting up? You would think a very easy question. Ask multiple people who should have known the answer. They said they'd get back. They didn't have it. Nobody ever got back to me. So on February 14, I sent a Quora request to the city of Boulder asking for documentation of what incentives have you approved for Boulder, to bring the Sundance Film Festival to Boulder. And as I read to you all, the response was, after 10 days, when a Quora request is supposed to be responded to in 3, and a city attorney responding to me, at this time, City Council has not approved or budgeted for any funds to incentivize the Sundance Film Festival to come to Boulder. And then to the extent your request seeks records showing potential not yet approved city financial incentives for Sundance to come to Boulder, the city is denying your request pursuant to the commercial exception to Quora requests and their access to public records policies section, which is fine. But then I went right back and asked, so in accord with Ritter v. Jones, Colorado Supreme Court case, Boulder is affirmatively representing that there is no public information in any of the requested documents as non-public private confidential information from Sundance that can be redacted. This is public taxpayer money. If they sat in a quorum and have already authorized some backroom secret deal, that's illegal. So I'm assuming this is correct, that as of now, Boulder is not putting up one penny that we know of, nothing that has been put in stone. So I'm offering this amendment, which simply says, we will put up 17 million, which is still 5 times as much, actually almost 6 times as much as any other state involved. And we will match Boulder dollar for dollar for the money they put up. So I ask for a yes.
Majority Leader Duran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I'm asking for a no vote on this amendment. As I explained earlier, Colorado is competing for a once-in-a-generation opportunity to deliver transformational regional economic impact for small businesses, including restaurants. I say that Colorado is competing because this isn't just about Boulder. Sundance moving to Colorado will deliver economic impact across the region, from Boulder all the way to Denver. If we adopt this amendment, we will completely end erode Colorado's chances at competing for Sundance. That's what's on the line with this amendment, and I ask for a no vote.
Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would say to my colleague from Douglas County, the reason why he hasn't found any information about other incentives that are being given is because it would ruin the competitiveness of trying to get the film festival. This is a competitive process. If we are giving away the incentives publicly, then the other people who are competing are going to know what we're offering, and we lose our competitive edge. We cannot have this information be divulged. I'm certain that Boulder will be putting up plenty of different incentives in different ways that they're able to do, along with the regional partners, along with that state incentive. We are working together to bring Sundance here to Colorado, and I urge a no vote on this amendment so we can get this film festival here and start reaping the benefits that it will have.
Representative Marshall, this is your second time to speak. You have 7 minutes and 44 seconds left.
Yeah, I wanted to just get up and down. Thank you, Madam Speaker. But, you know, some of these comments and responses from Boulder and from people who want this so badly make no sense. I offered to make it up to 34 million. We would match up to 34 million. If Boulder's actually putting up equivalent amounts, let's just go ahead and say, yeah, we'll do full $34 million. 10 times more than any other state is doing. Because the other states also have sunshine laws. And their legislative bodies also have to say how much public money they are putting up. Utah's doing about 3 million, Ohio, nothing. So when we're saying we're competing, it's the state of Colorado competing against itself. Even if we're putting up enough money, we're bidding against ourselves, and we're overpaying as far as I can tell right now. And I think as far as anyone else, if you're being responsible, looks at it and can tell. It's public money. And that Supreme Court case, public money does not belong as confidential private information to Sundance. That belongs to the people. It's not a bunch of insider crony capitalism deals behind closed doors. It's supposed to be an open process when taxpayer money is involved. And yes, you can do a competitive bid, and those are secret. But if you have committed taxpayer dollars, that's something the public should know. And we keep talking about all this great business incentives, and that's terrific. But I had a constituent in my office about 2 weeks ago asking, she ran a hair salon. Can you please make sure if OEDIT's budget gets cut that they protect the small business people and the aid we need in order to run our businesses? Because this body is constantly giving tens of millions of dollars to quantum producers, to Sundance film festivals, to all these big projects, and forgetting the very basic business environment that we need. I'm not saying the state isn't going to benefit from this. Of course it will. But nobody with a straight face could possibly say Boulder and this area surrounding it is going to benefit the most. So what skin in the game do they have? Again, that was the first question. What's Boulder putting up? This allows them to put it up, and we will match it. But we shouldn't be buying a pig in a poke. So I ask you to vote for the amendment. Thank you.
Representative Joseph.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This whole conversation about Boulder is deeply personal to me because I represent Boulder. It's my community. And as someone who supports the arts, when I ran for city council, I've met so many artists who are struggling in Boulder, and I do believe that this bill will help them. And more importantly, what you've heard from the majority leader is the regional economic impact of this particular bill to the entire state of Colorado. So I reject all negative comments made about Boulder. Also, I wanted to add, based on what I just heard, my good colleague from Adams County, who's also a dear friend, mentioned Utah and Ohio. These are states. So if states are putting incentives or money toward this particular film festival in order to win that bid, we're essentially doing the same thing as a state. So I'm not sure why are you so focused on the city of Boulder itself. Again, we need to stay focused on the importance of this particular festival. It's going to help a lot of our communities. It's going to help our artists, and it's also going to help us, right? It's important to have our film industries here in the state to be able to compete with other states. So again, this is a great bill. Please vote yes on the bill, but I request a no vote on the Rep. Marshall amendment. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of the first Marshall Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 19 aye, 42 no, and 4 excused, the amendment is lost. Mr. Schiebel, please read the second Marshall Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report.
Representative Marshall moved to amend the part of the Committee of the Whole to reverse the action taken by the committee in not adopting the following Marshall Amendment, L19 to House Bill 1005, to show that said amendment passed, and that House Bill 1005 is amended passed.
Representative Marshall.
Madam Speaker, I move the second Marshall Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report and ask that it be displayed.
One moment. Please proceed.
For anyone who's done tax credits, this amendment is pretty obvious of what it's trying to do. Almost all the tax credits we've done are Tabor surplus dependent, meaning if there isn't a surplus, the tax credit doesn't go forward. That's not what they're doing with this special carve-out for the Sundance Film Festival. There's no restrictions on it. So when we go into a recession, I'm not saying if, when, over a 10-year period, we go into a recession, those millions of dollars are going to cut right into the general fund, taking away from Medicaid, taking away from the schools. But so long as we have the Hollywood elite coming that we can rub elbows with, that's good enough. All this says is if we do not have that surplus, it's not going to come out of the general revenue budget and us fighting over it like we're fighting over the budget now. And this tax incentive, with $36 million already being appropriated by the state, because we have $34 million in tax incentives, $1.5 million from the OEDIT as a grant, and $500,000 for additional subsidies for local events. As I pointed out, that could pay for $500 travel vouchers for everyone to come to the state. 72,000 people. And if Boulder's putting up an equivalent amount of 34 million, that's another 68,000 people. 140,000 people. And if they just bring one person with them, On average, that's 280,000 people. So I'm trying to figure out the cost effectiveness of this too. But that's why we really need to put the Tabor bid in. And I checked my cowboy math by phoning a frenemy, not an enemy or a friend, but a frenemy. And those numbers add up. But they don't add up if we don't have this amendment to make sure when we go into a deficit, the money's not coming out of things that some people think are a little bit more important. So I ask for a yes on this amendment.
Majority Leader Duran.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I'll repeat this again. We ask for a no vote on this amendment. This is a Tabor trigger. This would prevent the tax credit from being issued in certain years. We need certainty from Sundance, and in exchange, Sundance will raise state revenue. This is an unnecessary amendment, and I ask for a no vote.
Representative Titone.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I heard my colleague from Douglas County say in our floor debate that this is for wealthy visitors when he was talking about this amendment, and that we may have a recession. And you know what? That's perfect, because if this festival is attracting the people with money and we have a recession, what better people to come here to spend money than the people who have the money to leave it here? And travel vouchers for who? The wealthy people who are already going to come here? We don't need to do that. We need to bring the money in from outside of state, which is going to happen. And if people have money to leave here for this festival, then that is the perfect situation if we're having an economic downfall, to have more money coming in when we need it the most. And that's what this festival will do, and this amendment will not achieve that. I ask you to vote no.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion before us is the adoption of the second Marshall Amendment to the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 20 aye, 41 no, and 4 excused, the amendment is lost. The motion before us is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 41 aye, 20 no, and 4 excused, the Committee of the Whole report is adopted. Members, we're on to announcements and introductions. Representative Mabry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Judiciary Committee members, we will be meeting in 1:30 and room 107. We will be hearing House Bills 1072, 1043, 1194, 1187, and 1073. See you at 1:30.
Representative
Be
Brown.
on time.
Oh, thank you. Everyone, be on time. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I believe that the Speaker has chalked up another point in our ongoing competition, which involves me signing up. So I forgot to sign up again.
Representative Brown, you owe your aide a steak dinner.
Oh, no.
For signing up for you
Okay.
in advance, right?
He deserves it. Yeah, that's right. Today, Health and Human Services will meet in room 112 at 1:30. We will not be hearing 1288. I will lay that over to a future date. We will hear a presentation from the Colorado Health Institute, and then we will hear two bills in this order, 1222 and then Senate Bill 86. See you there.
Okay, wait. For the record, Representative Brown, you owe Representative Luck a steak dinner for signing up for you because she is so thoughtful. Isn't that kind? I love it. Thank you, Representative Luck. Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for knowing who I am, even though I didn't sign up. The Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee will meet at 1:30 LSBA for 4 bills, 1281, 1230, 1219, and 1236.
Excellent. Representative Ricks. Oh, and Representative Gonzalez. Thank you. Representative Ricks.
Madam Speaker, thank you, and hello, members. We do have an announcement about McDonald's owners and operators. They will be holding a legislative reception tonight at the Art Hotel from 5 to 7, and there's going to be 65 House districts represented. And all of these McDonald's operators and owners would like the opportunity to meet with their representatives and to talk about the positive impacts that their businesses are making in all of our districts. So we're asking you to join us tonight at the Art Hotel from 5 to 7.
Representative Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So Colorado has 208 locally owned, independently owned franchises across all 65 House districts. It is something that is very important to our community. I used to work at McDonald's, so I worked my way up from crew to a crew trainer to a manager. I was there for 5 years. We actually were one of the first green stores in the state. So the McDonald's obviously play a significant role in our state's economy through employment opportunities, investments, and charitable giving, as well as providing a path for some of our community members to become small business owners. McDonald's also helps support Colorado farms, ranches, and suppliers by purchasing over $45 million worth of food. So I hope you guys are able to attend from 5 to 7 today. Hope to see you there.
Thank you. Representative Representative Ricks.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, we have some guests in our chambers today, and I want to take a moment to welcome all of the attendees here today for International Women's Day and Women's History Month as well. As we recognize the incredible contributions of women throughout history and in our communities, I invite you all to join us for a press conference at 12:15 today on the west steps of the Capitol, where we will be highlighting the importance of women's rights and representation. Then at 1:30, we'll continue the celebration in the West Foyer, where we'll be presenting some light refreshments, and we would like the women to have an opportunity to get a photo op with their representatives and fellow attendees. So please join us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you stand? I would like my guests to stand so you can welcome
Yes,
them.
thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no.
Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I think I speak for everybody when I wonder whether there'll be any McDonald's served at that event. But yeah, we need to know. There will be no energy and environment today, folks. Sorry, everyone. We will resume tomorrow.
Thank you. Representative Gilchrist.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning or afternoon, everyone. I want to take a moment and recognize that we'll have folks both from the Colorado Association of Family and Children's Agencies, CAFCA, and Raise the Future in the building tomorrow. So please take an opportunity to speak with them. They represent children and families across Colorado. They do incredible work for kids in child welfare. And so really hope that you give them the opportunity, and we'll recognize them tomorrow. Thank you.
Representative Story.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Capital Development Committee will meet tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. in Senate Committee Room 357. See you all there.
And Majority Leader Duran.
Madam Speaker, I move to lay over the balance of the calendar till Thursday, March 13th, 2025.
The balance of the calendar will be laid over until tomorrow, March 13th. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House stand in recess until later today.
The House will stand in recess until later today.